This is Nationwide, and I am Bintu Aliu Sumonu. Thank you for joining us. The federal government has again reaffirmed its commitment to the unity of Nigeria. President Muhammadu Buhari stated this at the launch of Buhari Unity Band in Abuja. President Buhari, who maintained that the unity of the country will not be compromised, pointed out that with the determination and cooperation of Nigerians, Nigeria would remain strong and united.
Of a group of patriotic and politically active Nigerians who believe in the unity of our country. This occasion is part of our commitment to the sustenance of unity and mutual coexistence as one people united by shared history and shared destiny.
Now, a committee to reinvigorate the coal industry and concede the remaining blocks of the National Coal Corporation has been inaugurated. Minister of State for Mines and Steel Development, Abubakar Bawabwari, who inaugurated the 13-member committee, explained that this step is preparatory to privatization strategy. Mayor Ogudi reports.
2.8 billion metric tons of coal is yet to be transformed into wealth in Nigeria. This necessitated the formation of the Nigerian Coal Corporation in 1950 to utilize this resource. Till 1999, the Nigerian Coal Corporation had the exclusive right to mine coal before the federal government of Nigeria deregulated the exploration and the exploitation of the industry. And this opened up the sector to partial private participation, making the Nigerian Coal Corporation to enter into joint ventures. 10 coal blocks are still under the Nigerian Coal Corporation command, and the federal government, as part of renewed reform policies, the Nigerian Coal Corporation is to divest all its operating interest as a committee to midwife the process is set for work. And these are the terms of reference.
Preparation of privatization strategy. G, preparation of all necessary sales documents, including memorandum and various agreements, contracts, and other documents required at various stages.
The principle of integrity, professionalism, and accountability will be brought to bear in the selection of the eventual operators of the concession.
The federal government is not ending its journey in the coal industry with this concessioning, but still interested in expansion.
Develop a roadmap with sufficient information on Nigeria's coal assets.
All this is to be achieved by the members of this project delivery team within 12 months. Mayor Ogidi, NTA News.
Moving on now, the greatest economies in the world, experts say, have entrepreneurship as their backbone. This fact was buttressed at a platform for connection and collaboration that is engaging all players along the entrepreneurship spectrum in strengthening ecosystems across or around, the world in Abuja. Olainka Ojo reports.
These young people in this hall for about a week have been participating at the 2018 Global Entrepreneurship Week, designed to help young entrepreneurs explore their potential as self-starters and innovators. And since entrepreneurship is the future of Nigeria and Africa in general, they want to ensure a country with entrepreneurs who will continue to solve economic problems every day.
Possibly problems that we can solve without necessarily having to crystallize funds, but technology-based problems.
Daily we interact with people, either verbally or non-verbally. And for any business to grow, the customer must believe in the services the entrepreneur is rendering.
Research shows that people believe you're non-verbal 80% more than your verbal, because they believe the non-verbal cannot lie, your body can't lie, all those ambience can't lie. And they paint a truer picture of who you really are what your core is. A startup must avoid loans, taking loans, because it's kind of difficult to start up a business with a loan because you're not sure about the first year of the business.
Global Entrepreneurship Week, which started in 2008, today has more than 10 million participants in 170 countries across the continent. Olayinka Ojo, NTA News.
Now, the federal government says it is poised towards revamping all sectors of the economy through harnessing the vast potential embedded in science and technology. Minister of Science and Technology Abuja reiterated this at a lecture to participants of Course 27 at the National Defense College in Abuja. Defense correspondent Olajide Bello reports.
Building a base for development of future Nigerian professionals in science, engineering, and allied professions.
The programs of the Ministry of Science and Technology are aimed at securing a sustainable future for the youth. The federal government's interest is that the knowledge acquired from the natural sciences needs to be brought to bear towards tackling the nation's overdependence on importation of goods and encouraging local patenting. Now, the major concern of the ministry in its bid to formulate and implement its programs in Nigeria, the minister reiterated, is centered on science, technology, and youth development.
Once we recognize this and then we work as we are working, then definitely we will create a knowledge-based economy, we will create an innovation-driven economy, we will be in a position to look at the resources that we have and now convert them to the products and services we need. And we should be in a position to now export them. We shouldn't just be exporting petroleum products. No.
Dr. Ogbonaya Ono highlighted some of the major developments by the federal government to include the National Science, Technology and Innovation Policy, National Science, Technology and Innovation Roadmap 2017 to 2030, Presidential Executive Order 5, and National Strategy for Competitiveness in Raw Materials and Products Development in Nigeria. From the National Defense College in Abuja, Olajide Bello, NTA News.
Now let's turn to the agricultural sector. The Senate Committee on Agriculture and Rural Development has emphasized the need for more collaboration between related agencies and development partners to scale up performance in the sector. This was prominent in discussion between the committee and agencies and parastatals of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture. National Assembly correspondent Omotola Omojola has details.
Hearing on the budget performance of the agencies for 2017 and 2018 and the various challenges to effectiveness in their performance, the committee encouraged them to do more to ensure that their outfits meet expectations.
There are development partners that are always desirous of helping us as a developing country to improve our agriculture. They come and propagate the issue of food security and what have you. This can only be done if we're able to have the appropriate gearing.
While commending some of the achievements of the agencies, the need for their activities to go beyond their national and regional bases to the grassroots and impact on food production were recommended.
Just like you've gone out of your way to achieve this, to everybody can see, we are just urging that that same spirit that drove your effort to achieve this, should be extended to the reach of your service.
The need to bridge information gaps between the organizations and their publics was also stressed. The committee met with management of National Agricultural Seeds Council, Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria, and Nigeria Agricultural Quarantine Services. Others are Veterinary Council of Nigeria, Nigeria Institute of Animal Science, and Nigeria Agriculture Insurance Corporation. In Abuja, Omotola Omojola, NTA News.
Still talking agriculture, and international agri markets by Ogun State government to support the federal government's initiative on agriculture is near completion. Ogun State Governor Ibikunle Amosun went on an inspection tour of the facility and other projects under construction across the state. Lekon Abundi reports.
The Kara Market, a produce market in Ogun State, located along Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, is a setting of great economic value. The facility, which used to be haven for produce farmers and merchants from various parts of the country, will now have to give way as it is expected to transform into a new city soon. The new Ogere market is, however, prepared to host the traders with the luxury of ultra-modern market with one-stop setting, featuring the value chains unbroken.
The idea is to make sure that by latest, maybe by end of the year, we want all of them here. Look at the space we have here. So I'm happy that people will see a lot of development in this axis as well. And where we are living there, of course, we have mapped it out. A new time is coming there.
This site is on 150 hectares. We are just completing phase one. Phase one has 1,632 shops for produce. We also have a very high standard semi-mechanized abattoir that you've just seen that can handle about 170 heads of cattle and about 340 heads of sheep and goats per hour.
In fulfillment of the promise made by the state governor that his administration will work till the last day in office, the entire state is now like a construction site. Construction work on the new digital studio of the state-owned television, OGTV, the 250-bed ultra-modern hospital, the new city center, and the judicial complex are all in progress with appreciable levels of completion. The governor reassured the people that his intention to make the state an industrial destination of choice for people across the globe remained a priority. In Abeokuta, Lekon Agmonde, NTA News.
Similarly, Africa is believed to have the greatest number of cocoa farmers as it produces about 70% of the world cocoa. Nigeria produces only about 250 tons annually. Idonre is one of the leading cocoa-producing towns in Nigeria, but as Olubukola Aduo reports, the fortunes of the ancient town are adversely affected by the lull in cocoa world trade.
Peaceful, sleepy, hilly ancient town of Idonre is a community of mostly farmers lying 20 kilometers from Akure, the Ondo state capital. The famous youths of Idonre harbor some of the most productive cocoa plantations in the whole of southwest Nigeria, and Idonre town has some of the relics of the year where cocoa was near gold in value. The Idonre landscape is today dotted with buildings which may not worth much in terms of architectural value in today's world, but were not only built from the proceeds of cocoa by cocoa merchants, many of them long gone. It is indeed on record that men and women have made fortunes either as cocoa farmers, produce buyers, or marketers. The fortunes of cocoa farmers have since fallen. Why not? A typical cocoa tree in Idonre is old, low-yielding, and pest-infested. Aderemi Ogundipe belongs to the old and new generations of cocoa farmers. He says the business has seen better days.
Many people want to go to farm and do the work again because they are looking for another business that will be fast more than cocoa.
Presently, if you go into the farm, you will see some insects eating our cocoa. The government will help us to look for medicine to curb these insects. Secondly, the price is not stable. The price should be stable like olden days.
There is no enough of chemicals that they can use to be attacking all those diseases.
The federal government says it is not unmindful of pest infestation experienced by cocoa farmers. To this end, the Buhari administration has provided about 7,000 agrochemicals for farmers in Ondo State.
What we advise the farmers to do now, that's what we call integrated pest management. One, they should use cultural practices. Cultural practices like pruning, they make sure they weed on time, and then they make sure that they plant hybrid crop that will withstand those pests and diseases.
There is, however, a ray of hope with the recently launch of Cocoa Revolution by the Ondo State government, where high-yielding varieties cocoa seeds were distributed to farmers across the state, and also deliberate efforts to attract youths to the business were made.
A lot still needs to be done. The encouragement needs to be given. Then a lot of things needs to be subsidized in order to encourage people to go into agriculture, because there are a lot of factors that are not really encouraging people. When you talk about the issue of climate change, is a real challenge.
This is Itaolorun, a village few kilometers away from Idore town. About 40% of cocoa seedlings produced across this axis come from this village. It is expected that with the current efforts, the yields of cocoa from Itaolorun and indeed the entire Ondo State will increase. From Idore local government area of Ondo State, Olubukola Aduwo, NTA News.
Thank you, Olubukola. Now, Lagosians campaign against political thuggery. Michael will tell us more on that and other stories. Hello, Michael.
Thank you, Bintu, and welcome to Lagos. Political violence has been one of the many challenges bedeviling democracy in Nigeria, and it has persisted. With the 2019 elections just a couple of months away, there is rising apprehension about the adoption of violence as a measure to address differences along party lines. In this report, compiled by Rotimi Oluwagbemi, a cross-section of Lagosians presents solutions to this menace.
Politics in Nigeria is often described as a dirty game. This is because of the many negative practices that have become its character. One of these is political violence, which has done Nigerian politics since the First Republic. Thugs, loyal to diverse political interests, have killed, maimed, and generally caused mayhem to serve the interests of their principals. Across the country, there are various thoughts that have become associated with political violence and are recruited by politicians. The consequence is that the political space is not free, and might is gradually becoming a major ingredient for political participation. With political campaigns scheduled to commence by November 18th, there is a sense of apprehension among Nigerians.
The youth are the leaders. We are the leaders of tomorrow. So they should not allow anybody to use them, because they will only use them and dump them.
Our youths are to go back and make themselves productive. They should desist from every act of violence. They should not allow anybody to use them or to be used against the coming election.
What I just pray for is free and fair election. So all this our youth that they will give you 1 naira, you go and fight, go anywhere. Those fights, we don't need it now. Let's just focus. Let's just pray. If they are more engaged in other things, I don't think they will be having time for any violence or anything.
To the youth, I would like to advise that they shouldn't involve in any kind of violence.
I would rather advise the youth not to be violent in the election.
We are hoping for a better election, free and fair election.
However, there is a campaign that elections should be viewed as a game of give and take, rather than a do-or-die affair.
Lagos State Governor Kumi Ambodi has advised the electorate to vote in credible candidate has high integrity will impact on the nation's gross domestic product, GDP. The governor gave the advice when he received the national leadership of the Gospel Businessmen's Fellowship International, who paid him a custom visit at the State House, Alausa. Nusao Sula reports.
According to the governor, the country stands to benefit a lot when good business practice is combined with excellent moral and religious values, saying such would obviously result in growth and development for the benefit of all.
Seeing Nigerians from diverse background converging for a purpose. So it's the purpose sometimes that creates the inspiration for the likes of us to just believe that, okay, what we're doing is right. Because they are finding elderly people who have actually charged the country and have actually established themselves. And I decided to move away from the issue of religion and coming in as business people to use it to, fertilize the nation.
The leader of the delegation and national president of the fellowship, Ifeanyi Odedo, said the team was at the Lagos House to explore partnership in key areas to grow the country's GDP, such as housing, the agro industry, security, and information and communication technology.
when we get it right with the heart of men, I believe we would have been on course of driving excellence in our political life, in our social life, in our economic life. We often will identify what we call corruption, but the antidote to corruption actually is integrity of the heart, the fear of God, respect for humanity and the society.
The president commended Governor Ambode for his giant strides in the last 3.5 years, saying it was commendable that he had given priority to people-oriented policies and programs. In Lagos, Nosa Osula, NTA News.
Former Special Senior Assistant to former President Goodluck Jonathan, Waripamo Oweadu-Dafa, is challenging the jurisdiction of the Federal High Court sitting in Lagos to hear the amended charge in 1.6 billion naira money laundering charge brought against him by EFCC. Vera Chiweba, who was at the Federal High Court, reports that Justice Muhammad Idris has reserved ruling for tomorrow.
The two accused persons, former Special Senior Assistant to former President Goodluck Jonathan Dudafa and Joseph Nna, a banker, were first arraigned in 2016 on a 23-count charge of conspiracy to conceal the proceeds of crime amounting to over 1.6 billion naira. EFCC had alleged that between June 2013 and June 2015, the two used different companies to launder the money. At the commencement of proceeding today, the accused raised objection to the jurisdiction of the court on an amended 22-count charge preferred against them by the EFCC, on the ground that Justice Muhammad Idris is sitting on a fiat and therefore no longer has jurisdiction to hear the suit in view of the amended charge. Counsel to the accused, Boyega Oyewale, argued that under Section 396, subsection 7 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, that an amended charge is a fresh charge, which requires that a plea is taken. He further argued that the trial cannot start de novo, that is afresh, where the parties have opened their defense. Ige, another defense counsel, aligned his argument with that of Oyewale and urged the court to strike out the suit. In a quick objection, EFCC counsel Rotimi Oyadapo argued that the contention that by virtue of the amendment, the court lacks jurisdiction to hear the suit is misconstrued. He told the court that the amendment is in line with the evidence before the court and that the law permits amendment anytime before judgment is reserved. After hearing the argument of the parties, Justice Muhammad Idris reserved ruling for tomorrow. In Lagos, Vera Chiweba, NTA News.
That's our contribution from Lagos. Back to Abuja for more on Nationwide.
You are watching Nationwide. Time for some messages. We will be back shortly.
Speech is not a joke. It incites genocide and crimes against humanity. Most of Africa's civil wars are caused by hate speech from one tribe against another. We don't want it here. The Nigerian government stands firm against hate speech.
Under no conditions whatsoever should we tolerate or excuse or justify hate speech or hateful conduct of any kind, especially where such is illegal.
There's no doubt that the resurgent push for separatism, as well as the rising cases of ethnic and religious disharmony, are all traceable to the growing phenomenon of hate speech.
One nation bound in freedom, peace and unity.
Nigeria, one nation, one people.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
I'm Sipasi Olaleko Ayodele. I'm based here in Ikorodu, Lagos State. I'm the founder of Protecto Zone. We train children, youth, and farmers in sustainable agricultural practices to fight hunger and alleviate poverty even in the city. In 2016, joining Empower, I was able to reach more people. Empower gave me the feasibility and the exposure I needed to scale my organization from where it was to where it is now. Because of the opportunities Empower has actually given me and the facilities they provided us, whereby we are going to schools, partnering with the teachers, training the children on sustainable agricultural practices. We have a lot of youth, women and children who benefited from our platform. Even what I'm doing on a small scale has actually brought me a lot of local and international recognition. Currently, I won the Nigerian American Partnership Award and the U.S. Consular General Award based on what I'm doing right from my community here.
Join us every Saturday by 10 p.m. for Eye on the Road.
The program from the Federal Roads Maintenance Agency, FEMA.
We'll bring you highlights of policies and programs on road maintenance. You'll hear from road users as well as those charged with maintaining the roads.
It's interactive, it's informative, it's educative.
It's Eye on the Road, showing Saturdays at 10 p.m.
Thank you for staying tuned. Now, Nigeria Defense Space Administration has mapped out 975 forests in line with its mandate of providing security information needed in the fight against insurgency. This formed part of submission by Chief of Administration Major General Emmanuel George White to the House Committee on Defense while on oversight. National Assembly correspondent Abdullahi Aminu reports.
Various projects contained in 2017 and 2018 were oversighted by the committee with a view to ascertaining the level of success recorded by the Defense Administration, which was established in 2016. Their mandate is preparing space monitoring options that will complement the effort of the country's security operatives and neighboring countries, which have strategic operational value to Nigeria's intelligence gathering.
The normal budgetary allocations will not be adequate to cater for the huge cost of the high-tech equipment and trainees required for our operations.
We'll look at the 2019 appropriation as a committee and we'll see what we can do to your agency.
Ongoing projects, including the Academic Administration Complex and Direction Staff Quarters of 56 number of 3-bedroom flats, were also oversighted by the committee at the National Defense College, Abuja. The projects are part of efforts to maintain the status of the college at the apex military institution in Nigeria and in sub-Saharan Africa. And the Defense Research and Development Bureau, which establishment bill passed second reading on the floor of the House of Representatives, the committee chairman commends his role of formulating policies and monitoring of military training programs.
With unique challenges, you must devise a unique way of addressing them.
I really appreciate you. That is the main reason that we took up your budget and gave you budget within the 2018.
At the Ministry of Defense, the committee members made observations on the serial arrangement of account, high figures of 2018 personnel costs compared to 2017, and whether the ministry received intervention funds within the period under review. The committee resolved to meet with the ministry for clarification on some procurement processes. In Abuja, Abdullahi Aminu, NTA News.
Now from security, we move to judiciary. Experts in the nation's justice system have called for a forthright prosecution and trial of high-profile financial crime suspects. The call came in a workshop for heads of courts and other stakeholders in the evaluation of the fight against corruption. Judiciary correspondent Femi Okewu reports.
The workshop is part of the work of the Corruption and Financial Cases Trial Monitoring Committee, a body set up by the Chief Justice of Nigeria to assess the pace at which high-profile financial crime cases are determined in the nation's courts.
Corruption, no doubt, has made a mess of our judicial process, and it is in the enlightened interest of the judiciary and the entire legal profession to restore this confidence in the process.
Most of these delays are hinged on the defense.
Those who made contributions at the workshop are principal personalities who have been directly involved in the trials of high-profile financial crimes. They lamented that the slow pace and lack of diligent trials gave the impression that the judicial process are sometimes compromised whenever a high-profile or politically exposed person is involved.
Multiple charges filed by the prosecution is a disaster, I think, in the Nigerian terrain.
So they should see themselves not merely prosecuting the individuals before them, but they are also protecting the entire society from crime.
High-profile financial crime cases have continued to provide the biggest test for the administration of Criminal Justice Act, even 4 years after its passage. This workshop, therefore, helps to evaluate its usage and see what progress can be made in its usage in the coming years. In Abuja, Femi Okewo, NTA News.
Now, Nigeria has been described as not politically ready for state police. A guest on Good Morning Nigeria gave this opinion while taking a look at the system of policing alongside other experts. Akila Okpanachi reports.
Former governor of Edo State says policing at the state level should be handled by people who understand the state affairs, language, and the culture of the people for effective management of crimes and insurgency.
We need more police. Even at the federal level, the number of personnel has to increase. But in addition to that, we also need more police at the state and community levels. In that way, you ensure that policing is done throughout all the nooks and crannies of the Nigerian society.
Professor of Police Studies, Professor Olu Ogunshaki, however, advocate the creation of more jobs to reduce the rate of crime and poverty in the state and the country in general.
As it is now, we have community policing. It's been around for a long time. It's a philosophy, but the reality is, if you go to state police, you will have the same stuff called community policing. So community policing is a constant. State police is what you're trying to introduce, which is not going to work at this time because of our regionally based government.
Retired Assistant Inspector General of Police, Tambari Yabu, blames the fundamental problem of policing in Nigeria on lack of proper equipment and weapons to effectively fight crime and not on the policing system.
Community policing means, partnering with the police officers who are around, not minding where they come from, and trying to find solutions to your problems, to your criminal problems.
They, however, advise the government to look critically at the issue of state police before implementing this system of policing. Alika Opanachi, Arua, NTA News.
Now, as the year runs to an end, the Nigerian Army says it is important to refresh the knowledge of military drivers on road safety techniques, particularly under hazardous conditions and having other road users in mind. Commander Defense Headquarters Garrison Brigadier General Olubumi Irefin said this when he visited the Corps Marshal Federal Road Safety Corps in Abuja.
By next week, from Tuesday to Wednesday, it's going to be a 3-day seminar. The command RS7, I think, Federal, FCT command, they will be with us for 3 days to help train our drivers.
We will ensure that that training is properly coordinated. We seek for your support for the end of the year patrol operations, for a signal to be sent to all the formations to support us, to comply with the traffic rules and regulations. That's what we're just requesting for. We'll be getting all the supports.
The FRSC boss further noted that 1,200 patrol vehicles, ambulances and recovery vehicles will be deployed to all the critical areas during the Yuletide. Now it is on record that more women are turning to politics. Kano State is a case study, as we are told women are changing the political tide against all odds. In 2019, 7 women will contest for the office of governor alone and on other platforms. Yohannes Hassan Barrow says this is considered as a test for one of the most popular states of the Federation in gender-sensitive
Kano State has more than 5 million eligible voters expected to exercise their franchise in forthcoming general elections. There are 1,247 candidates contesting under the platform of 91 political parties. Out of this number, 54 are vying for governorship posts, among them 7 female candidates. The political parties that yielded female candidates include AD, DPC, RBNP, NUP, CAP, FDP, and UPP. Before now, it is unthinkable for female politicians to seek for any elective post, even at what level. But now, with the wind of change blowing across the political arena, there are 7 gubernatorial candidates who will contest in 2019 general elections. Hajia Maimuna Muhammad is among those seeking election into office of the governor of Kano State.
We women are always left back. If I succeed, I want education, health, roads, and empowerment for our youth.
This is the first time this number of women are showing interest in the office of the governor in the state.
Women being more pathetic and down to earth, and their personal needs are not as much as what the men need. I think if they do succeed, I think they'll do better.
The state resident electoral commissioner Riskwa Arabushehu said women are also key players in the country's next year's electioneering process.
You know, we started with the display of the information, personal particulars of the candidates that we received from the INEC headquarters. And these forms were the ones submitted by the political parties and their leadership at the national level.
Looking forward for 2019 general elections to see whether among these female politicians will unseat the incumbent governor of Kano State. In Kano, Yahana Sahasambaro, NTA News.
Similarly, a developing country such as Nigeria has a lot to gain from a globalized information system, as well as having much to contribute to the world as one of the largest in Africa and south of the Sahara. Timothy Yusuf reports that the Association of Women Librarians in Nigeria is one of the latest group of Nigerians taking up this challenge.
Cordelia Adikwe, a principal librarian, has worked for more than 30 years in the library of the Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. She believes that in as much as she would want to be informed about the world, she would also want to inform the world about her worth, especially in contributing to national development.
Gender is not an excuse. That you are married is not an excuse. That you have children is not an excuse not to be at the top of your profession. So you have to put in extra time and do your best.
The two-way traffic of information sharing for national development is the reason for this convergence of women librarians from across the country. As the traditional custodian of information, librarians in the 21st century need to be aware of these significant changes and as such employ their technological know-how and intellectual masterpiece in order to retain the leading role of the library information needs.
Many of the librarians have been taken out to do website design. So it's not just librarians and books alone. The book is just one way of getting information. In many areas, we provide information through the internet.
Apart from the physical books, the library itself has moved to acquire what is called the e-library or the virtual library, so that people do not have to have physical contact with the library itself to be able to access the materials that we stock in the library. So the library itself has moved ahead.
Cordelia Adiku and co-participants are optimistic that the knowledge acquired from this workshop will arm them with competent skills that will enhance the provision of effective library services to meet clients' changing information needs independently. In Abuja, Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
And in Benin, Aisha Buhari advocates training on neonatal health. Let's join Obehi to give us details.
Good evening. Welcome to Benin. Wife of the president, Aisha Buhari, says the involvement of wives of governors in the south states of the country is critical in securing the future of women and children in the zone. Mrs. Buhari stated this in Benin while declaring open a 3-day advocacy training on reproductive, maternal, newborn, adolescent health and nutrition for governors' wives and the technical officers in the South-South. Good luck, Enaini reports.
Advocacy training is to keep the stakeholders in the region informed about the contextual terrains and workable solutions to problems that have contributed to the nation's poor performance in health-related issues as they relate to women and children. Representative of the wife of the president, wife of the former military administrator of Katsina State, Grace Chama, described the training as indispensable in the acceleration of efforts to end preventable maternal, newborn, and childbirth diseases and death.
I am hopeful that the gains of these trainings will reverberate for many years to come.
Wife of the Edo State Governor, Mrs. Bessie Obaseki, informed the participants that the state government has taken the issue of child maternal mortality a step higher by putting in place robust health policies.
In this particular aspect, there's been more of the doing than the talking. And in Edo State, that's what we are known for.
Speakers at the training identified lack of political will on the side of government as major setback.
We know where we are and that there's a gap, we have to fill it.
It's a very laudable initiative to help to strengthen this area of our healthcare delivery.
The training, which ends on Friday, is expected to come up with some suggestions on the way forward. In Benin, good luck, Enaini, NT News.
Delta State Governor's wife, Dame Edith Okowa, has made light the burden of providing welfare for orphans in the state. Shortly before the formal presentation of food items to some orphanages, Dame Okowa appealed for more support for the less privileged in the society. Ngozi Imokwede reports that the gesture is part of activities to mark the 2018 World Orphans Day.
The governor's wife harped on the need for mothers to pay equal attention to needs of their biological and non-biological children. She noted that the O5 initiative in the past 3 years has provided food items and other materials for the upkeep of 38 registered orphanages and adopted 3 families.
Give out to those people who ordinarily will have nothing to pay back to you. Not give out because appointment will come soon, they will give me appointment, make I bring car.
The Director General of the O5 initiative, Kewe Agas, appreciated partners for their support in ensuring that the mandate of the O5 initiative is being carried through successfully. Beneficiaries appreciated the gesture.
I pray that God will empower her more and more because it takes grace to run this kind of a thing.
Since when I enter in orphanage, they work, I never see this kind of thing before.
Now only God will bless her because now this government, I can't see say that they work, they go the grassroots, go meet the people, go know what they want to solve their problem.
The World Orphans Day is set aside by the United Nations each year to raise awareness to the plight of orphans and displaced children around the world. In Asaba, Ngozi Mokwede, NTA News.
Obeying traffic rules and other safety regulations have been identified as necessary to reduce road crashes and abolish the myth associated with the last 4 months of the year, popularly known as Ember Months. This formed the crux of the 2018 Ember Month campaign organized by the Ekiti State Command of the Federal Road Safety Corps in Ado-Ekiti. Tayo Osho reports.
Many people believe the last 4 months of the year, popularly called Ember Months, have some sort of spiritual coloration, which is responsible for the increase in the number of road crashes during the period. This necessitated the Ember Month campaign by the Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC, to change this notion by sensitizing road users on the need to take safety precautions.
We have been directed to continuously engage critical stakeholders in all the disturbing and burning trends of killing and maiming on our highways.
Various stakeholders also spoke on the importance of enlightenment programs to have safer roads. The theme of the 2018 Ember Month campaign is Safe Driving, Safe Lives. In Ado-Ekiti, Tayo Osho, NTA News.
That's our contribution from Benin. We now join Bintu in Abuja for the continuation of Nationwide.
Thank you. Now on Nationwide from Abuja, we will take a break. More news when we return.
Fake news which is shared for malicious purposes is a danger to our peace and security in Nigeria. Misinformation as fake news is a serious threat to our hard-earned democracy and promotes hatred and misunderstanding between our communities. We are all responsible for stopping the spread of fake news in its tracks. So, always check the source and credibility of any news item. Say no to fake news. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information.
Do you have yes, and black. Yes, sir. Black or white? Yamala. Have I ever eaten white amala here before? Yes, sir. Give me amala and amala. Do you have dodo? Dodo ground. Good. Let me have some dodo. I want you to put the meat in a bowl. Shaki, suku, abodi. I like my edo to be very tender. You have stockfish? Yes, sir. Good. Let's have some stock. And catfish, my favorite. Don't mind them. You have eggs. I would like 6 boiled eggs. No eggs. Okay, catfish will do. And then rice. Rice and then some salad. Look. Do you have a guru?
You're welcome back. Now, an opportunity is being provided for electricity consumers to decide who supplies them with their domestic and industrial energy needs. This is following the introduction of new policies that allow individuals and small power energy generation companies to come in and complement the big players in the business of generation and distribution. These are some of the areas which the Buhari administration is focusing on and its determination to stabilize the power sector for national development. Usman Aliu takes up from here.
Until September 2017, people of Pakao, a rural community in Kaduna State, only see electricity light in other towns, if at all there is available supply. That is now history. 100 homes in Pakao at the moment enjoy uninterrupted electricity, with their commercial activities served under the Renewable Energy Micro-Utility, a pilot program on rural electrification initiated by the federal government.
We appreciate, and this solar, we have enjoyed it because it's the light that we can give always.
This is one of the policies to provide more communities with stable and affordable electricity and also reducing pressure on the national grid.
We have meters installed in every home, whereby power consumed is paid for by the community in order to maintain the project. I think that's a very critical aspect of any project, maintenance and long life. And this we aimed to deploy for this project, which we have.
This time also, investors are developing more confidence by injecting huge resources in the Nigeria's power sector, and the government delve into capacity development, providing better infrastructure to meet the targets of incremental, steady and uninterrupted power supply.
Now, about 30-something companies have applied for that eligible customer. They are mainly factories and industries. And they are connecting directly to their generation companies, saying, let's take our power direct, and they are going to TCN, carry the power to us, and we have told NEC, the disco that is affected by such a customer moving to a GENCO, put in a price compensation for him.
An average of 1,000 megawatt is being added to the grid since 2016, an achievement exceeding the plans which experts attribute to the reality of the Buhari administration's commitment.
Transmission capacity is now at 8,000. Distribution has gone up to about 5,200 maximum. So we all recognize that the challenge to get a better experience to consumers now is to raise the distribution while we keep raising transmission and distribution.
With the steps taken and the progress making, observers believe that Nigeria's history of electricity inefficiency will change for the better. In Abuja, Usman Aliyu.
Now, trafficking in persons remains a global phenomenon with dire consequences on source, transit and destination countries. To overcome the scourge, collective efforts, especially in identification and handing over to the perpetrators for appropriate investigation and prosecution, are equally important as focusing on victims' identification and rescue. Aliyu Tukur has the report.
Human trafficking, a modern-day slavery, is a $150 billion global industry, and Nigeria is not left out of the illegal trade, as it is the third most committed crime in the country after drug trafficking and economic fraud. The number of human trafficking victims outside Nigeria is largely unknown. However, due to the country's population, Nigeria is routinely listed as one of the countries with largest numbers of victims overseas, particularly in Europe. Against this backdrop, NAPTIP, in collaboration with police and immigration liaison officers of foreign embassies in the country, held an interactive session to share information, intelligence, and best practices to improve the capacity to tackle the global challenge.
In 2016, we know that over 34,000 Nigerians made the trip across the Mediterranean Ocean, and so I would say that it is a significant issue for all of Europe, including the UK.
We have not less than 368 persons that have been sentenced to imprisonment till date. But within the last 1 year, the record shows that we have at least 52 convictions, which is an improvement.
The gathering is also an opportunity to appraise the collaborative efforts, the gains, and the strides to be taken in order to move forward. In Abuja, Aliyu Tukur, NTA News.
Let's move on to sports. Super Eagles in high spirit ahead of Bafana clash Saturday as Super Falcons race for 2018 Africa Women's Cup of Nations in Ghana. Kene Ima Aburiki brings us more on Sports Update.